A little bit about we're going to talk about Warren Buffett and why Warren Buffett makes so much money. I don't know if you guys know this, but Warren Buffett makes about $37 million a day. So if you don't make at least $37 million a day, or $3.7 million a day, or $37,000 a day, you might want to pay attention because Warren Buffett has some tremendous economic game. I'm about to break some of this down for you, as well as share many of the stocks that he loves right now. So get comfortable, buck up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about Black wealth and Black economics every day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day, and under one condition. The condition is that we are Black first. Black first means that we solve our own problems. Black first means that our kids are going to lead other people's kids. Black first means that we are going to rebuild our community because we can do it and we can do anything. If you agree that Black people can do anything, put a hashtag B in the number one in the chat, hashtag B1. I see Java is out of Louisville. Good to see you. It's nice to see somebody out of the Ville. That's where I'm from. I went to Ballard High School, by the way, Louisville, Kentucky. That's my city. Hello, Ruth and Black Bezos. Ruth says, I finally called her live. Yes, I am live and in the flesh. It's very good to see you, Ruth. And I finally caught you live. Oh my God, what a coincidence. Wow, I was thinking today, am I going to see Ruth today? There she is. Ruth is here. Everybody say hi, Ruth. Everybody say hi to Ruth. Ruth is the Black woman of the day right now, as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, let's get started. Let's talk about what was on my brain. I saw something. You guys know on this show, one of the things I do is I talk about things I just happen to be reading, things I'm noticing about wealth and money and what's going on. I mean, last night we had a great conversation about just the economics of the Super Bowl. You may want to check that out. There's a lot of interesting economic dynamics happening in the backdrop, like, for example, Snoop Dogg's acquisition of Death Row Records, what that means from a financial standpoint, but how it's also marred by complex corporate relationships with a hip-hop music industry that has a lot of complexities. Let's just say that, when you built your whole brand by saying we don't love them hoes, right? That's going to cause you some real political problems later on when you're trying to go get that money from white folks. So I thought that was a really interesting thing to break down, because one of the things you should understand about money is that money is everywhere. Wealth is everywhere. There are economic implications everywhere, to every partnership, every situation, everything. And so let's talk about the man of the hour, the guy that I'm thinking about on this particular night is Warren Buffett. Give me a yes or no in the chat. Let me know if you know who Warren Buffett is. Give me a yes in the chat if you know the name Warren Buffett. Give me a yes. Everybody put yes in the chat if you know Warren Buffett. B-Man, what are your thoughts on crypto? I like crypto. But also, if you have questions for me, by the way, we have class tomorrow in the Black Stock Market Program. If you log in at theblackstockmarketprogram.com or go to boycewatkins.com, you can actually do a month trial and join us for class. And one of the benefits that my students have is they can leave me questions and I will answer every single question. So if you have a question about a certain stock or a certain investment, your cousin wants you to invest in the family liquor store and you're not sure what to do, you can put the question in there and I will look it up and give it some thought and give you my 2 cents. Okay, it's not investing advice, but it is my perspective. Okay, so a lot of you know who Warren Buffett is. Good. All right, so let me tell you why Warren Buffett is special. See, you know how white folks have affirmative action, and then if you're a special Black person, they'll let like one Black person in if you fit the agenda. Like if you're of use to them in that moment, like they'll bring you in. They're gonna bring the rest of us in, right? This is why you need your own businesses, you need your own institutions, because they can't bring all of you in, but they'll pick that chosen Negro. Well, Warren Buffett is kind of the white version of our chosen Negro today. We have a benefit in talking about Buffett. That's why I'm going to give him the sacred opportunity of coming into our space for just one moment, right? Just for a moment, just as long as he knows it's our space. So we got kind of like a white affirmative action program, just support the disadvantaged people out here, that kind of thing. So anyway, the reason I'm bringing Buffett into this sacred space is because Warren Buffett is a guy you want to pay attention to, because Warren Buffett has something that every investor needs to have that has served him very well. And that is called common damn sense. I was going to say common effing sense, but I'm not going to cuss no more. I'm trying not to cuss. But he's got common sense. Common sense. Warren Buffett is not a fancy guy. He ain't flashy. He ain't got, 10 Gucci belts in his closet with 8 babies mamas and a Lamborghini in the driveway. He's got none of that. Warren Buffett has, in fact, some would say he's a little too humble, though. Like I honestly admit, he's worth 110 billion. If I was worth 110 billion, I probably wouldn't be living in the house that he's living in, right? That's a little bit much, right? But he drives a regular car, eats McDonald's hamburgers, How do you live to be that old? He's in his 90s. How do you live to be over 90? You've been eating McDonald's hamburgers for 60 years. That's kind of crazy, right? And he lives in a tiny little house. He's just very basic. But for him, money is like kind of this fun little game where money is his way of keeping score. So as a result, Warren Buffett makes about $40 million a day. I said 37 million, but he was making $37 million a day back when his net worth was 101 billion. Since that time, Warren Buffett has made another $10 billion in net worth. Warren Buffett is still on the climb. He's grinding. He's making more money than any rapper you've ever known in your life. You'll never know a rapper who makes more money in 1 year than Warren Buffett made in the last year or two. You just won't. There's no rap. Jay-Z did not make $10 billion last year. Beyonce did not make 10 billion. Your favorite actor or actress did not make 10 billion, right? This is big boss, big boy money. This is ownership money. That's the power of ownership, right? No job will ever pay you that kind of money. Now, I'm not trying to say you want to go make that kind of money per se, or you have to. What I'm saying is that it's very easy to see exactly how he made that money. Now, let me kind of break this down in terms of what Buffett does that works really well. When I was in my PhD program, we used to talk about one of the most foundational, most fundamental books ever written about investing. It was written during the Great Depression. It's by Graham and Dodd, and it's called Value Investing. Value Investing, written in the Great Depression by Graham and Dodd, is literally the economic Bible that Warren Buffett got started with. And remember, this is a Great Depression. Great Depression, you didn't have no flashy stuff. You didn't have people run around here talking about I'm gonna get rich on Bitcoin by tomorrow. You didn't have people trying to throw their money into pyramid schemes and blessing looms and all this other stuff. You had most of the investors had to get back to the fundamentals because a lot of money was being lost. I mean, entire family fortunes were being destroyed. So value investing was kind of written in that sort of environment. It was a cultural space of just simplicity and humility and all these other things. And so Buffett cut his teeth in investing in that particular way. Now here's the thing. So since that time, Buffett has when he picks companies, he's interesting because he misses a lot of trends and a lot of waves. There are a lot of things out there that are making a lot of money that Buffett won't touch. And I don't think, and here's the thing, he's not always right. There's no type of investor that's always right. Buffett's not always right. He's missed a lot of money by missing out on certain things. Well, let me tell you some of the things he did well. One thing that he did well is something that I told you all that you could have done very easily, which is for the last 5 years, Buffett consistently invested in Apple. He consistently invested in Apple over the last 5 years. And I could have sworn that they said his company made about $100 billion from that Apple investment by just consistently putting that money into Apple. And Apple grew and kept flipping and kept growing. Next thing you know, it was a big pile of money. You could have done the same thing. Instead of, maybe he invested 8 billion. Maybe you could have invested 8,000, or maybe you could have invested 800, or maybe you could have invested $80, right? Whatever your number is. And that money would have flipped just like Buffett's money would have flipped. And what I like about Buffett is it kind of reminds you that, there's a difference between you and a guy that has $100 billion in the bank. No doubt about that. But at the same time, you can ride the same roller coaster that he's riding. You can get on the same economic vehicle that he's getting on. When he's getting money, you can get money. But there are people out there that simply follow the investments that Warren Buffett makes. And so let me kind of give you just a little bit of insight. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Also, don't forget, we got class tomorrow for stock market investing. If you're in Instagram, just hit the link in the bio if you want to join us for class, or go to boycewatkins.com. The link to my stock market investing class is right there. It's very good. We have 5 years of content, and it's extremely good. And you can send me questions, and I'll answer your financial questions. If you put your financial question in the chat, I probably won't see it. But if you send it to class, my students get top priority. So I will make sure I look at your question and respond to it during class. So if you want to know, so Buffett, I mentioned to you, he's worth over $100 billion now. He became a millionaire in 1962. I don't know how old he was in 1962. He became a millionaire because of his partnerships, which in January 1962 had an excess of $7 million, of which over $1 million belonged to Buffett. He merged those partnerships into one. He invested in and eventually took control of a textile manufacturing firm, Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway is the company he still runs to this day. Who will inherit his money? Let's see. He explained that Warren Buffett explained that the bulk of his fortune will go to 5 charitable organizations, including the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Some of the remaining 15% will go to his kids. Buffett has trained them to expect a smallish sum. So Warren Buffett is not going to leave all that money to his kids. He doesn't believe his kids that's the best use of his money. He actually wants to give it away to charity. That's called the Giving Pledge. I think it's actually kind of cool. Another example is I love Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos in the space race. I love the idea of two really wealthy people working to, better humanity or whatever they think that is, right? I kind of wish somebody would go out and maybe, make sure all the homeless are taken care of and help all the starving kids. But at the same time, it's better than just rich people sitting on their money. So Buffett is not just a regular guy in that particular way. Now, how is Buffett investing his money? This is one of the things I want to share with you all in terms of what he's doing right now. And what I'm going to do is reveal to you his largest financial holdings. So if you want to, you could theoretically literally just look at the stocks he's invested in and kind of add this to your portfolio. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that. People do it all the time. So what I'm going to do is try to put this on the screen. If you're watching on Instagram, you won't see this, but I'll read it out to you. And even if you're watching it on YouTube, you still may not see the whole thing, but I'll read some of it to you. So here are the stocks that Warren Buffett holds the most right now. His biggest investment is in Apple, which is worth wait, is that right? Holy crap. He has $157 billion in Apple. Oof. Okay. 44 billion in Bank of America, 44.9 billion, 24.8 billion in American Express, 23.7 billion in Coca-Cola, 11.7 billion in Heinz, and 9.6 billion in Moody's, 8.3 billion in Verizon, 7.1 billion in U.S. Bank Corp. He just increased his investment in Chevron up to 4.5 billion, and he also owns $4.2 billion worth of Bank of New York Mellon. So so here's the thing about Buffett. The one thing you should know about his investing style is he is what you call a value investor. Now, remember I told you the Graham and Dodd book called Value Investing. What that does is that looks at stocks that have a high, what is called book to market ratio. Book to market ratio is where you take the book value of the company, where you add up all the value of all the company's assets. You add the value of its trucks, its factories, its brands, everything. And then you divide by the market value, right? The market value is just what the stock market decides it's worth. And if the book to market ratio is high, then that will be considered what they call a value stock, meaning that the market value is small. Right? Remember, the market value is in the denominator. So if the denominator is small, it makes the fraction bigger. Does that make sense? Give me a yes in the chat if that makes sense. I don't want to confuse anybody. So if the denominator is small and the numerator remains the same, then that's going to make the number big. So stocks that have a high book to market ratio are considered value stocks. Warren Buffett tends to like stocks like that because he feels that they might be undervalued. Now, remember this, though. There's a whole debate. If you go back, remember, you guys know my background. I'm from academia. I've written a bunch of research papers on stock markets, and they're in published peer-reviewed journals and stuff like that. You can find them on the internet. One of the big debates in academia that has always existed, and it will never go away, is whether or not these stocks are underpriced, meaning that they're good bargains, and you can really get, you're buying something cheap, or if they're appropriately priced and they're just riskier. Right? Maybe the price is lower because it's supposed to be lower, right? And that's what happens. Like, so when you look at a stock like let's say you look at GameStop, a lot of people would argue that GameStop or AMC became overvalued. But then there's some people who would say, no, GameStop or AMC was appropriately valued because it's got these great, investment projects on the horizon that are going to make it worth all this money. And the reality at the end of the day is it's just like a Muslim and a Christian arguing which religion is the right one. It depends on who you ask, and nobody really knows. Like if they say, well, I think if you go to heaven, this is going to happen. And the other guy says, well, I think if you go to heaven, this is going to happen. Well, they don't really know. It just kind of becomes a faith type of thing. So Warren Buffett's faith, his particular financial religion, is value investing. There are some people who don't believe what Warren Buffett does. They don't buy into it. Buffett tends to miss out on a lot of high flying takeoff companies. He missed out on the whole, a lot of the internet stocks, a lot of the tech companies that took off and did really well. Warren Buffett said, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in all this internet stuff. Right. Also crypto. He does not touch crypto. He feels like crypto has no fundamental value whatsoever. I disagree with that. I think crypto does have fundamental value because and the problem is that in finance, mathematically, all these stocks are valued with math equations, and there's some things you just can't quantify. Some things you just can't put it on a piece of paper and do a math equation and figure out what it's really worth. Like the love that I have for my wife, what's it worth? $10,000, $100,000, $1 billion, nothing, right? you can't make a formula, to say, well, today the value that Boyce has, the value the love Boyce has for his wife is at 2.2 billion 497,942,000. Tomorrow it's only 1.9 billion because she done pissed him off, right? Like you can't put a number on it. You can't do a math equation. And a lot of finance is driven by math. When I was in my PhD program, everybody was a mathematician. My master's degree is in math. I taught math at the University of Kentucky. So we're always trying to dump stuff in formulas and quantify things because numbers kind of give us a type of security that you don't get, when you're just kind of guessing things, right? So the numbers can be a guideline, but some things you just can't quantify. You cannot quantify the human experience. You cannot quantify human emotions very well. You cannot quantify the unknowable. You can try, but you really don't know, right? So ultimately, at the end of the day, Warren Buffett is good. If you are a conservative investor, you may want to watch this dude because he knows how to make his money. But at the same time, he ain't perfect. He ain't Jesus. And they call him the Oracle of Omaha, like he's a financial genius, financial Jesus. He ain't no oracle or nothing. And one other factor that works in Warren Buffett's favor that you may want to just keep in mind is this. Remember, I told you in investing, there's a human element. If something becomes popular, the price goes up sometimes, right? Well, what do you think? Pay attention now. Donald Trump used to play this game. What do you think happens? If somebody answer me in the chat, give me a yes. Give me a one-word response in the chat. What do you, or two-word response, whatever you want. What do you think happens to a company stock when Warren Buffett announces, I'm going to buy a big stake in that company? Like if Warren Buffett goes in and says, I'm buying 20% of the company, what do you think? Do you think that's going to cause the stock price to go up or down or stay the same? Do you think it's not going to matter? What do y'all think? What do y'all think? It could go up. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, what it reminds me of? It makes me think about Different World. The guy that played Ron on A Different World, Darryl Bell, his father was one of the first black people on Wall Street. A lot of y'all don't know that. Y'all know him from TV, but his father was in investing in Wall Street, and that's where our friendship started. He and I are good friends, and I love this guy. Anyway, there was an episode I remember where Patti LaBelle played Dwayne Wayne's mama. Anybody remember that? Where Patti LaBelle was on there and she came into the house and she was cleaning everything and cooking. Baby, you look hungry. I'm gonna cook you something. Oh, don't date that girl. Like, how mamas do. Like when Big Mama comes in the house, everything's gonna get better because she's gonna clean up. She's gonna make sure you stop dating that raggedy girl. She's gonna make sure you eating good, right? Well, it's kind of like when Warren Buffett comes into a company. It's kind of like when Big Mama is coming to the dorm room, right? Well, that, okay, Big Mama's coming, is going to be okay. Big Mama's coming, she's going to fix it. Well, Warren Buffett has that effect on the stock market. He's like the white male version of a Big Mama. When Big Mama comes in and says, I'm buying 20% of the company and I'm going to meet with the management and replace the bad managers and help the company do the things it needs to do, well, then the stock price goes up a little bit very naturally because people say, okay, Big Mama's here. The company is going to get better because we have faith in Warren Buffett's ability to make a company better. So in that regard, he has a little bit of an economic advantage that most of you don't. Now, Trump's situation was a little different. Trump wasn't quite Big Mama. Trump has always, even if you go back to the 80s, he wasn't hated the way he was when he went into politics, but he was seen as a sort of a iconically rich. People kind of admired that. Rappers used to rap about Trump and all that, but they kind of always knew he was a jerk. They always knew he was kind of cutthroat and et cetera. And so anyway, when Trump would start buying a big piece of a company, what would happen is the stock price would also go up, but it wasn't for the same reasons as Buffett. Trump wasn't the guy who would buy a piece of your company to make it better. He would buy the company to make you think he was going to do a hostile takeover. And Trump, being Trump, the kind of guy that he is, he would just say, people are stupid. They're going to just buy the stock because I bought it. So he would go in and he would start buying up shares of a company and then spread the rumor that he's thinking about taking this company over. And then the stock price would go up, 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 up. And guess what he would do when the stock price got high? He would dump it. He would do pump and dumps, based on, what people have talked about, right? Based on what the research shows. So I would say to you, give Warren Buffett credit for being great at what he does. There are lots of things about him that are incredibly redeeming in terms of his just logic, common sense. This is not a dude who's going to lose money. That's the point. He's like a football coach where the team plays really good defense, but their offense doesn't throw the ball as much as it needs to, or they don't move the ball as well as they could because they don't take chances. So Buffett doesn't take chances, but he's a very solid investor. He's the kind of guy that could go through a recession and come out okay. He's the type of guy that will go through a market crash and buy up everything. He's sitting on like something like $100 billion in cash, like literally not even using the money. And he just decides like when the market dips below, 10% below its previous value, then he might go in and make some acquisitions. So he's super conservative in that way. But it kind of works because like some of his best investments have done extremely well. And this was not a guy who started off as a billionaire. This guy wasn't born with a big silver spoon in his mouth. He was born middle class. This guy started off investing in, a few $100. He started his first business when he was 11 or 12. Some of y'all got kids that are 11 or 12 now. What are you talking to your children about when it comes to investing right now? Start doing that. Your child can do the same damn thing that Warren Buffett did. Ain't nothing magical about this white guy. He's smart. He's great. But I think black people are greater, or at least as great as anybody else. So give me a B1 in the chat if you agree with me that we are great and we are going to execute and we're going to make sure our kids are ready for the future, ready to be the top, ready to be the best. Give me a B1 in the chat so I can know that this conversation was worth something. All right. So anyway, guys, I'm about to get out of here. Don't forget, tomorrow we meet for stock market investing class. If you want to join us, go to boycewatkins.com. Also, the book club meets on Wednesday night. We're reading Powernomics and Black Labor, White Wealth. We're almost done with Black Labor, White Wealth. We're going to hit the next Claude Anderson book. That's Wednesday night at 8:30. You can find all that on boycewatkins.com. Some of you asked a question. I think somebody said, how do you invest for a child? If you join, feel free to join the class. You leave me the questions. I can definitely answer them during class. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com if you want to see anything else we have going on. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. God bless you. It was real. I had a lot of fun. I hope you make $1 trillion. I'll see you later. Take care now. Peace.